Okay, we're ready to roll. Welcome to the Tuesday, April 18th, 2022 council meeting. Would you all join me with the pledge of allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for all coming, by the way. Justin, would you do the roll call, please?
Osborne.
Yes, here.
Hi, Christie.
Hi.
Smock is here. Nichols. Here. Bean. Siebel. Here.
Can you please be on mute? Unmute.
She just got left restaurant. That's it, so. Yeah.
I'll take a motion to approve the April 18th, 2022 agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of the April 5th, 2022 regular meeting minutes. And this is, as Councilor Bean pointed out, as amended, because he had recused himself from the lining project approval. So they will be amended as such.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
That's, okay.
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Osborne.
Yes.
Smock. Yes. Nichols. Bean.
Yep.
Siebel.
Yes.
Approval of the consent agenda. Entertain a motion on that.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 7 is approval of the resolution calendar.
I make a motion to approve the resolution calendar as presented.
I'll second.
And roll call is Osborne.
Yes.
Smock. Yes. Nichols.
Yes.
Bean.
Yes.
Siebel.
Yes.
Request from Chief Dean to allow an exception in the union contract section 12.7, which states maximum compensatory time, comp time, not to exceed maximum hours of 100. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I waited till the end of your vote for number 7. Just had a point of information. Who are our current signatories for City of Evansdale?
The current signatories are the mayor,
So you.
yes, myself, Justin Smock. That's it?
And we're just adding Councilman Siebel.
Yes,
Okay, and then one more question. How many signatures are required on a city check?
2,
Who's,
myself and Justin at this time.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mayor, can we have a little explanation? I know you and I talked. I'm a little confused by looking at their contract versus what he's saying in difference to it. Is this saying that with what we got going, that overtime would not max, it would only max out at 120 hours in compensatory time? But the contract
So-
says that now.
Yeah, no, what they're asking for is an exception to that. So that they can go above that 120 hours just in lieu of overtime, just until they get another officer hired.
Okay, I understand that.
So we only have one that's even close to the 120 hours. And obviously he does take a lot of comp time, that individual does, in lieu of overtime. So it actually it's, pay now or pay later. That's totally up to you guys.
With the number of patrolmen, wouldn't that, if you divvied it around, you wouldn't go over anyway, would you?
Well, and they have been using part-time help as well. They had, you know, I think 3 different part-time people called in the last 2 weeks. So they're doing their best to, you know, mitigate that overtime right now.
I make the motion on the request from the chief team to make that change in section 12.7.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes, you can.
So if we make this change, do we have to change it back after we get hired, or can it
It's
work
only
back?
just a temporary
Okay.
change, so it's just gonna be, and I've already talked to the Teamsters union. I just have to send them an email. We are temporarily allowing them to go over the 120 hours, just until another officer is hired.
Do they have to, does the Teamsters Union have to approve that then? Or is it email?
He said the email would be sufficient at this time, under the circumstances.
I'll make a motion for, or second it.
Okay? All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Opposed? Number 9, request from AMVETS Post 31. Again, thank you for all coming. To purchase and maintain the installation, removal of flags on Memorial Day, Flag Day, Independence Day, and Veterans Day in the amount of $1,016.62. And do you want to speak on that?
Yeah, I can.
Okay,
I need to talk to the mic.
yes, please. Just state your name.
My name is John Mills. I'm the Provost Marshal for Post 31 here in Evansdale. And it's my responsibility, along with these gentlemen, plus we have probably another 10 people that couldn't make it tonight, to perform military rites for individuals that pass away that were where their family requested. That's our main goal. Somehow along the lines, and nobody can really remember when, we got added responsibility to put flags up on Memorial Day, 4th of July, Flag Day, Veterans Day. And we don't have a problem doing that, but we ran into a couple issues last year. One of them is our flags, and if you want to show them that one, Gino, and Ron, you want to get this new one out? What we found is our flags were getting faded, and they were looking kind of tacky for flags. And they didn't have rotators on them. You can see they cable tied them together. These new ones are going to have a rotator on them, so they're not going to get tangled up as bad. The older flags were only 5 foot. The newer ones are going to be 6 foot, so they stick out a little bit further so they don't wrap around the post, because that was the other thing we ran into. We'd go out to look at these flags and they'd be all wrapped up and you couldn't even hardly tell it was a flag.
Okay.
So we wanted to try to get the flags replaced and get new poles and make them just look a little better in general. So the other thing was that we're all getting to an age where we don't really want to get up on ladders anymore. In the back of a pickup, on somebody else's property where we may have a liability issue. So we were hoping that we could get the city to help us out with this project. The thing is, it's not displaying, what we found too is we've got a flag disposal box where we get a lot of flags from the local community that have been flying them and they get in tattered shape. And we probably have, we gotta do it twice a year. We do a burning ceremony where we burn them. I'm not supposed to use the word burning, but we get rid of the flags and we end up with a lot of flags. So we know a lot of people in the community are using these flags. So we just kind of wanted to make the downtown area the same way. And you gotta remember, it's not for the AMVETs or veterans, it's for everybody.
Sure.
That's my
Thank
spiel.
you. I appreciate that.
Does that amount cover the purchase and, that cover the purchase of the flag?
Yes,
Yes.
the flags and the poles.
I'll make a motion, we approve it.
second.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Opposed?
And I appreciate that because if you did it, we could probably get them up on Memorial Day, the new one.
Yes, we will.
We'll go ahead and
Just
get
give me
them
a call
ordered.
tomorrow.
We'll get
Yes.
it in the.
It comes out of the mayor's salary, so.
Yeah. Take one for the team.
Thank you.
Take another one for the team, you mean?
Number 10 is request to approve the deed of dedication for Eagles Landing Development and authorize the mayor to submit final documents to Blackhawk County Auditor. The deed of dedication, this has been revised. Oh, I apologize.
No, when you're done talking, I have a comment.
Okay. The deed of dedication has been revised, to just be, it doesn't have any of this, the standards in, the design standards that we have done as well. Because we wanted to separate it off, because the design standards for us right now is just for phase one. So it's, how it states in here, our attorney, made the language, that there's a portion, a design standards that exists and that they'd have to adhere to. The things I wanna point out to you, are on page number 2, use of the property. Permitted uses shall be distribution warehouse, office facilities, technology, manufacturing. I think that those items should be taken out. And maybe it's just a general language type put in. Maybe just permitted uses, maybe taking out permitted uses altogether. Or just having it be in more generic, like, you know, it's something that needs to be approved by, you know, the city council of the city of Evansdale, for example. Or, you know, planning and zoning, you know, or something like that. Instead of having, distribution warehouses, because this gets, the, deed of dedication goes with when we record all this information, the final plat, all the certifications that we've had to go through for this property. So what's your thoughts?
I thought it looked fine what I read through, when I looked at it, I don't have an issue with it.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah, my thoughts to take it out altogether and just replace it as approved by, council or by, you know, that way we're not running somebody off because they don't fulfill one of those purposes.
okay,
So I think that purpose should be discussed irregardless what it is, before, you know, before that, basically, you know, takes them out of the picture, so.
Is there something that you're trying to like avoid in particular that I'm
well,
not seeing?
like in phase one, we don't want a distribution warehouse. We don't want, manufacturing, assembling facility. The other things would be quite all right. We could just take out distribution warehouse and manufacturing. But, just a second, when I'm finished, you guys are more than happy to have.
Before you vote, thank you.
Just so you know, Ms. Parker, this is a business meeting of the council,
Yes,
and you know, you can allow to have a compliment, but you need to come up to the podium
may I?
at this time,
When it's time.
we're finished discussing it. So, I mean, you know, however, that being said, it's, you know, gonna be, the whole plat is gonna be with this language. So we do want distribution warehouse, you know, maybe in, the 14 acres to the furthest of the east, or maybe in phase 2. But, you know, we don't wanna have that language in there, I don't believe, for phase 1. And I'm just seeking your thoughts.
How many lots are available down
Fit right now 15
there? 15?
in phase 1,
How many phases you got?
3.
3? Equal,
No. Probably phase, I would say total in phase 2, you're probably gonna have 5 to 6 lots. And then, you know, phase 3, that's 14 acres, you could have 14 1-acre lots or 7 2-acre lots.
because I'm not familiar with the whole thing. It's
Sure.
about-
Yeah,
I think phase one is probably gonna be more noticeable, so I think the intent there is to make it look more, I don't know, for lack of better words, pretty, you know, so that we don't have like a bunch of, like, an industrial site, more of a,
15 pretty restaurants?
yeah.
Well, and consider this, permitted uses could say, you know, office facilities, technology, et cetera, and then just say, you know, any additional type businesses could be considered by council.
I would say if we're gonna list anything, it needs to encompass the entire plat, because it is the deed of dedication for Eagles Landing.
Right.
Our phases are simply for our planning. So if we're
Okay.
gonna list anything in it, then you're gonna have to list it all. Because the other thing is, we wanna scare it away,
Okay.
or we wanna leave it generic. That would be my recommendation of just,
Okay.
you know, anything that, and you can legally, you will say whatever you want up to, you know, whatever this and that of the city of Evansdale's, you know, expansion project initiative, whatever, something, you know, you could say anything. But basically it's, yeah, upon approval.
Okay.
And they've kind of already been doing that anyways. We've kind of had some that thrown at us that were certainly not what our initial vision was. We've had some others that might not be in phase one, but okay, phase three might be a possibility.
Right.
So I definitely don't want to exclude them just because we're focused on phase one right now.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess Charles kind of said it I think best as well. I'm fine with keeping it pretty generic.
Okay. The other one was on page 4, under screening, display space, outside display of product, material, and or equipment will be allowed. These are the things that were highlighted by our city attorney for us to discuss. I would say, outside display of product, should be screened.
Okay, by city council.
So for example, if you get a manufacturer out there, again, this could apply differently in all the different phases. Maybe it'd be better not to be in there for consideration. Because if we get a manufacturing company out there, just say, for example, the step place up here, what is it called?
Lister.
Lister. You know, he displays his product outside of the building. So, cause this is the final, this deed of dedication is final, that's gonna go. If we can't really amend it after the fact without everybody in the whole, Eagles Landing development approving it. It's kinda like a covenant.
To me, manufacturing would be, go ahead.
Well, I just don't see how you could ask them to screen the product. I mean, let's say a Theson's wanted to go in there, and they've got, you know, cattle guards and cattle gates and all this stuff. You just eliminated them, by screening, you know, trying to screen the products and whatnot. I don't believe that we should, you know, maybe held within, you know, the city setbacks lines or something of that, or on their property only and not visible, you know, from a certain spot or something of that sort. But you start going screening, you're gonna take out, you know, lawnmower cells, tractor cells, a Theson's, a fleet farm, or anything like that.
Okay, I'm in agreement with that.
Would our zoning regulation prohibit some of any of this, you know, like,
Yes, yes, to a
would it
certain
get-
extent,
what I'd
yes,
be concerned about is making it look really tacky out there.
right.
So, you know, if our zoning regulations will cover most of it, then I feel like if we're pretty generic in this, we would be okay, as long as our zoning caught most of it.
Okay,
It would be too expensive a property for manufacturing. Manufacturing, you figure we well, they could set that any place,
right,
rather than most expensive property in town to set up a manufacturing facility. And I don't think, I wouldn't want it in there, number one, I don't think they'd wanna pay the price.
Yeah.
It's, you know,
well, I mean, it would be applicable in phase 2 and 3.
it depends on what it is. Even then, you don't wanna ruin with the traffic going there. Somebody's manufacturing place and ruins the whole deal for the other people, if you gotta use the same road to get there.
Yeah. Well, phase two would also include an entryway on Gilbertville Road. So that traffic would come in on Gilbertville Road in phase two.
No, we'd have to see what's going in first.
Yeah. Okay. Number 6 is, our page 6, organization and approval, article 4. Existing owners of land in the subdivision shall be notified of the plan review process at the time said plan is submitted to the city for review. That was something that was recommended to us, and
Probably pretty standard, maybe?
I'm not real certain. I can check with our attorney on that.
I guess I'd wanna know, like, is it just to be neighborly, or are we doing it in case they have something to contest? And if they contest, what can they do about it?
I mean, I don't really think that any other development, see like the Cedar Falls, all that they've developed on Viking Road. I don't think Shills had to get approval from Blaine's
Yeah.
across the street.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I,
so
I,
what's the,
I don't know, not really sure why. I was just marking all this stuff and, you know, just to talk to you guys about it and. But that one I'll ask and I'll email you guys back if there should be any legal changes there.
I'd be curious, the previous one too, Mayor, that we discussed on the screening, you know,
Yes.
specific that word. Is it even needed? You know, what are the ramifications if that were to just be removed? Doesn't leave it open to where it's too gray, to where we could end up in a disputed lady that could hurt us, or
Like display space, just,
is it, yeah, the screening as far as what, if we just remove it, do we just kind of let it go, and then by removing it, that also gives us some leeway as well, rather than defining it up front. Well, then we can go in and try to work with them and say, okay, now it's a zoning issue, now it's this, now it's whatever. Does defining it now supersede any of our previous other, you know, I just wanna make sure that is it even needed.
okay. If it's okay with you, I would like to make, suggest maybe that we do a table this for the final, or I can have it amended, once I have some interaction with the attorney and probably even Bolton and Mink. You know, on just those items that were highlighted.
tabling, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Good business.
I'll make that motion to table at the time being.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, go ahead. I'm
Alright.
sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yes, please.
Kelly Parker, Marion Avenue. I really appreciate the time and attention to detail you guys have on this project. I think it's a very important thing that you're considering. I'm concerned though because on the back of this agreement, the resolution we're trying to pass, there's a spot where the city clerk is supposed to sign. We don't have a clerk legally, we can't be passing resolutions. We have to have the clerk to sign it. That's a problem. Iowa code says that we have to have a bonded clerk to protect the citizens of Evansdale from any mistakes that our local city government might make. I really want to ask the council and the mayor to put that as a first priority, so we can follow the law. Thank you.
I was just going to make two suggestions. First of all, when you're talking about outside displays, we don't wanna end up with like a flea market type situation. And I think that's what we're trying to avoid, especially since we're in such a rural area, so close to the metro area. This is gonna be a good spot for people to come and maybe consider doing animal sales. Livestock, chickens, turkeys, all of those things. So we wanna be very careful what we allow outside in regards to that. And secondly, I wanted to suggest that we make sure that we are open to having a manufacturing plant or a large distribution plant come in. Because from what I've read, from the research I have done, just basic research, not real in-depth, there is an opportunity where some of these organizations, these really big organizations like UPS, FedEx, Amazon, they might pick up the cost to build the road all the way through. So if we let them in first at the back, they're gonna have to cover a lot of our costs for building the streets and the sewers and whatnot to get to their plant. So we don't wanna exclude them.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion in a second, I'll be for it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Request from Public Works Director to submit state bid for road salt. And that's just basically saying that we would like to be involved in the state bid, so we can get the best price on our salt for next.
Make the
Fiscal
motion
year.
to approve it.
Yes, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Request from mayor to accept TAP funds in the amount of $295,728 toward the Elk Run Creek Levee Trail project. City match is gonna be at $132,682. Maybe I should do this, okay. So we approved us going to apply for the TAP funds, and we did apply for the TAP funds. However, Waterloo also applied for TAP funds, so we kind of split the difference with Waterloo. That was the only way the board was gonna approve it. So instead of, our match was gonna be $85,000, now it's $132,682. Well, the next item on the agenda, which I'm not skipping around, I'm just saying, there's a possibility for us to get a grant that's gonna cover everything for that levee trail. It's Destination Iowa funds, they have 100 million available to cities. So we are definitely going for that, so it's about 700 other cities as well. But that's something I think would greatly, enhance our trail system, and it's just a beautiful, really nice nature area on that side of the levee with the creek and the foliage and et cetera.
I don't see that many people using the other side of the levee. Every time I've gone down there, once in a while you see a person down there, but
Oh, it's heavily used
if it's heavily used, I'd see it. Cause I go down around there
on
on
West.
Budas and I go down Grand Boulevard, so. I
I've
don't-
seen several people, anytime I go home, especially now that the weather's trying to get nicer. Especially down the grass side where this would go, there's typically always someone with a dog that kind of can let it run a little ways ahead and back and forth, so. No, it's not every hour of every day, I
Sorry, I
say,
lost you.
but often enough that I can go back and it's.
Even the main
Are you there?
dyke across from my store down there.
Yep, because that's where they'll walk to or from, so they'll
And
continue on.
that isn't that heavy a traffic on there, so.
Well, Christy, you live on that, right near that levee, do you see a lot of traffic up there?
I'm more concerned about, is this for a bicycle?
It's for walking and bicycle, yes.
And I guess a couple things that come to my mind is I didn't get a chance to talk to the people around me, so
Oh.
I'd rather do that, but before I actually speak, but I do see people walking their dogs, but their dogs are, like, they'll do it and they'll let them run. And I think that if we put a trail there, I think that will probably prevent them from doing that, and I think it's a good place for people to be able, they go there for a specific reason, because nobody's around, they can let the dog run, they can there's nobody around, they're doing that for that reason, I feel like, anyway, that's my opinion, I didn't get very much opinions from anybody who's around me. And the trail just doesn't go anywhere, it's like, it has like no spot to go, I mean, I just feel like it goes from Grand over to Lafayette and then it ends. There's like, it doesn't hook up.
From
to
West
anything.
Gilbert to,
What-
West
West Gilbert, I'm
Gilbert
sorry.
to, well, and actually, it'll hook right into the Elk Run trail system from there. And then, we're doing Run and the city of Evansdale are, you know, improving both of those parks. So I just think it's just part of the overall quality of life improvement in our city.
The vision I had for it is specific to that, it's okay if they're worried about their dogs running or anything. The dog park that is set to be moving down here in Lafayette.
Yeah.
And then it won't be right away, obviously, but in the next couple of years, as Lafayette Road is redone, especially on the south side of the road, at least I wanna make sure that there's some sort of protected walk, biking access, but then that would link that trail up to Elk Run and go right by the dog park.
Yeah.
So now it's connected back into Elk Run, the dog park, it goes behind the new bridge that they have, back into Mayor's Park and all of that. That's at least the vision I had with it, is to connect it all up, because right now, the only way you can get to that is to either continue the older sidewalks that are kind of busted up pretty good down Gilbert, and then no sidewalk, it's just a soft shoulder all the way down McCoy, and then having to go into Mayor's Park and the dog park.
Yeah.
Or you walk along the grass dike. So there's no really designated trail that kind of connects the south side of our city on the east side back up to the north.
I think I'd rather kind of talk to some people around that area, because I really feel like the reason why people are doing that is because they're trying to stay away from more people so that they can let their dogs run, you know what I mean? Because I see, in the price, I don't think, I know they're not supposed to probably do that so much, but it's kind of a nice thing for them. People park down at the end of my road all the time, let their dogs out and they go running, and it's nice to see that, they can do that in a free space, kind of. But, I can probably ask around in that area to get people's opinions, my opinion. They didn't really get to do that
Yeah,
much.
we actually already approved us going out for application on that to get funding for this project. So now we have the funding for the project, it's just not as much as what we thought. So we've already approved the plan, to move forward with it.
I think the grant is okay, it's $130-some thousand the city funds is gonna put in there. I can't see where it's used that much to cover that.
Well,
Kind of money.
like I said, we have time to, with the TAP grant, we have time to consider that. And at the same time, we'd be applying for this other grant.
If you get the grant money, you can go get it, somebody else gonna get it if you don't.
Well, we are gonna apply for it. I mean, if it's okay with you guys, we are, because it's on the agenda to do so.
So so agenda item 12, the request to accept the TAP funds.
Yes,
If we accept this tonight, what are we committed to? I think hopefully I can rephrase to hopefully set the question. This is just
yes,
simply accepting it tonight.
that's
Let's
it.
say
And we
in,
do have time for consideration.
okay, in a month, 2 months, or whatever our timing is,
Probably about 30 days.
30 days, we can turn it down.
Right.
Okay.
And, initially, let me give you a little bit of history about this project. I have had a lot of requests over the years to have that blacktop and have a trail, part of the trail system. And, we're talking about quality of life issues within our city. Kind of lost my train of thought, sorry about that. Just moving forward with the process, we would have, but I was planning, 3 or 4 years down the road, and all of a sudden we got it right away, so it's FY '23. So, in lieu of, because it doesn't really sound like we're gonna do the boat ramp project, this would just be another quality of life thing that we can add to our city. I think there was a lot of
Could these
favor.
funds be used for something like that, to improve a boat ramp or anything like that?
Not the TAP funds, no.
They have to do that.
That, we had a REAP grant for that one. So,
I wouldn't mind proceeding, but I'd like to know how much total money we're gonna receive before I vote to go for the project. I think we have a lot of places we could spend money. That's my opinion. I just can't see, if that goes down to where we don't have any city match and we get grants all the way around, hey, it's a great deal. But $132,000 for one project, I'm not for doing that at this time unless I see some different numbers or figures come in. So I would vote no at this tonight.
To not proceed with just maintaining or to accept the funds, even if we're not spending them yet.
I would see what we can get on grant money, then decide on
Yeah, I
city
mean-
funds, cause that's what, my sticker too is $132,000 of city funds, I mean, that's
Well,
something that could be used someplace else that's probably more needed, or you can cut taxes if we got that much excess money, which I don't think we do. So it'd be an increase in taxes.
Well, the number 12, if you guys wanna table that to see first on number 13, maybe I should put them in a different
Well,
order.
do we have to table, or can we go ahead and put it forward to accept the tap with the contingency,
Okay,
and that contingency be that we offset, what's left for a percentage of, let's say, 70% with grant money,
okay,
for you to proceed, and then we've got a contingency, but we go ahead and accept the tap money. Does that make sense?
absolutely.
I'm with Charles, I'd like to see us just accept the tap money, just to say, hey, we're still interested, but we're not signing off on spending $132,000 yet. That's how I interpret this.
Okay, I'll make a motion here to accept the tap money with the contingency of finding at least 60 to 70% of offsetting monies to pay for the project. And at that time, we'll proceed with the project.
I'm not gonna make a vote on when we don't know what the contingency could be or how much we might get in a month or 6 months. We could come back with this in 3 months and say, well, we didn't get any funding. And we're still looking at 132,000, and we're committed to go forward with this if the majority rules on that. I understand the whole theory behind it, but I just can't support it, not knowing the final. It's kind of like we talk about doing business, not knowing the final figures of what it would really be. I can't put my name on something and say, yeah, go ahead and, oh, we're gonna get 132,000, but then it comes back and we get 25,000 from somebody. Well, then what do we do at that point? We actually turn it down that day?
Make it into a toll road.
Without knowing what it could finally be, I'm not gonna put my yay on this particular line item.
I don't feel like we've really been very active doing anything towards the quality of life in Evansdale, and that it's always money, money, money. I think that this would be a positive for the city. I think that positive things for the city and nice things, such as our parks, that look really nice. And then, all those things add up to draw people to our city. And I think that this would be a good addition. That would be a yes.
I will second Charles's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No. I just wanna make one comment when we talk about quality of life. We're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars down at the campground to enhance quality of life and draw people in town, Charles. So we are doing things, we are doing projects to better the community. So I'm not gonna take that verbiage that we're not doing anything to better the quality of life in town. I think that's a fantastic project down at the campground. Majority of that was paid for by grants. That's kind of why that went forward. So I just think we need to take a step back and look at it. And it could always come back like it's come back tonight on the table.
Yeah.
If the mayor finds out that she ran into all kinds of money from somebody else, I'd be in favor of it, but at 132,000.
Well, the way I look at that is, yes, we're spending money in the campgrounds, but that is a leisure deal that you've got to pay for, right? When you go to the campground, you pay to use those services. And so we're upgrading services in that campground to be used as such. A trail is something that everybody can use, without payment. And that they can just use on a daily factor, on a daily basis or whenever they want to use it without having to pay for the service. And I don't feel that we've added a lot in that respect. things that everybody can use, that doesn't cost them, any type of money to use.
Charles, in reflection to that, the 132,000 would be tax money. So the citizens would be paying for it, whether it's 132 or 180 or 25, it is something they're gonna pay for to have that project go forward, so I just wanna clear that up.
Well, that's why we're talking a contingency, and that contingency, what is favorable?
I think the vote.
You know, the boat ramp was another quality of life that got shot down. You know, so what,
Mayor, in this,
Well, I guess, you know, you guys are obviously not in favor of spending the 132,62. So, and I understand that. But what I'm hoping is we won't have to pay that with this grant, that's the next line item. And I don't, you know, you just refused the $295,728 that we already received for this project. If you're denying it, that means you don't wanna go forward, period.
So the motion that I had recorded, according, and Councilman Bean, please correct me if I wrote this down wrong, but stated that you approved a motion to move forward as long as we could obtain a 60 to 70% additional match. So rough math, that would put us $50,000 maximum of what we would have to pay as the city, as the taxpayers, not 132,000.
That is correct.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, I just wanna make sure I have that clear. We did already vote, it did fail. My question then is, what happens to this money? I'm assuming it's gone. If it does not pass tonight, it is gone,
That's right,
as I said.
yeah.
Then as far as the next item down, is there any point to that one then? Because would that cover 100% of $295,000?
I mean, we could try.
Okay.
I don't know, it doesn't sound like it's the project.
what other funding, Mayor, do you think is possible in this project, as you've been chasing this and have a lot more knowledge than any of us other than seeing it on an agenda? So what do you, I know we're talking about half getting to what's, but I mean, do you think there's a possibility that 132,000 honestly can be gotten somewhere? Is there
Yes.
couldn't this be, okay, let me rephrase
Yes, I
this.
do.
Couldn't this be tabled to come back with further information on grant funding?
Well, that's what I was requesting initially. I was requesting that we just table it.
Yeah, I'll rescind my motion, my vote to no, to make a motion to table this project till we have further information on dollars to be spent.
Yeah, I'll go along with
Okay.
I will.
All in favor?
Aye.
that.
I,
Opposed? So number 13, request from mayor to apply for the Iowa Economic Development for Destination Iowa grants for the Elk Run Creek Levee Trail project.
Yes, please. Motion.
Okay,
Except the dog park,
what's that?
what, the dog park, or no, what's that?
No, this is for the trail. That we believe that we'll get funded for the whole complete trail. Because what they're looking for this Destination Iowa grants is, you know, people will come into our community, you know, people that bike, which is a huge population of people that bike, people that walk or what have you, they'll actually come to our community to use our trail system. This would increase our trail system in our community to somewhere around 8 miles, just within our community.
I guess I'm getting too old, that don't, interest me at all.
So the way I understand it,
Yeah.
Ron, is we table number 12, the TAP funds, pending that we move forward with number 13 to try to get $132,682, so that combined both TAP and the Iowa Economic Development combined is 100% funded for this trail.
correct.
It's all, yeah, if it's 100% funded, yeah, I would.
That's what we're trying to move forward with, this is how I understand it.
My only objection was to the 130-some thousand in taxpayers' money, I mean, I don't, it's a majority of the people in this town don't use the trail. I mean, there's much of the road, but the majority don't use the trail. I can tell that by the people going on the trails there is now. I mean, there's no traffic jam on them, so.
We'll just hope we get the full funding and we'll move forward, that's the way I look at it.
So this, like, I know I already asked, but I just want, we can't use the funds for something better or different, or I don't wanna say better because the trail is, okay.
Would it be better as a moving train that just follow you down there?
No, I was just trying to think outside the
I mean-
box because there's other, we try to do other things, so if we can try to do something else that would be more beneficial, then I would be
No, I'm good.
open.
And
Come up with something.
I wanna make one other comment too, to Charles, when we talk about the quality of life. We also worked on a project down at the Twin Rivers to try to get a boat ramp, kayak ramp, whatever. And we ran into a lot of financial difficulties. We haven't forgotten it. We're still looking at it. We're doing some modifications down there to maybe help. And I looked at it as a quality of life, and if that could ever come to tuition, cost-wise, we would also submit that to go forward. So I am looking at quality of life, Charles. I wanna make that clear with you.
I feel like,
So I agree, but I think sometimes like the boat ramp gets lost in, you know, people with boats and I've seen what, you know, tubing and kayaks and all that can do for, a city. And, you know, we're not taking advantage of that. And I do think that that's, something, you know, that we've already, you know, kicked down the road, and here's another one. Then again, you know, younger people use bikes, that's correct. Middle-aged people use the bikes and the trails. I see people all the time on the trails. And so it's kind of one of those situations where I think that sometimes we get lost in, hey, I'm not gonna go ride a bike, you know, down the trails, I'll kill myself. But, you know, just because I'm not doesn't mean that I don't wanna see that part of the city grow as well.
Thank you, Charles. Do we have a motion?
I have a, yes, motion by myself.
Okay.
No second.
Second,
Okay,
You have a motion and a second.
all in favor?
What is it?
That's
I know
just to
that-
seek funding,
Seek funding only.
just to apply for a grant.
Not spending money yet, we wanna take 100%.
Your vote?
Go ahead and call for the vote.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public discussion. Thank you, guys.
go ahead.
How you doing? Name is Bruce Gibbons, live on Eldine Court. So what happened to the water, boat, water access for kayaks and stuff? I thought it was supposed to be discussed.
We're still looking at opportunities on that. It's not been kiboshed, I have a gentleman with Intercog that is working with the DNR on that. Bolton and Meek is still working on that. I actually talked to Bolton and Meek again yesterday regarding doing, like you said, from the hog confinement, you know, they call it, rope. They call it rope,
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
thank you.
The floor panels?
Yeah, they call it rope panels.
Oh, okay.
Is what it is. So, no, that hasn't went completely south. So,
The engineering firm didn't come up with a lower
well,
cost.
I did talk to him about that yesterday, so,
Because the city, I see, did put some big rock down there, thanks. I helped a lot. Went down there and looked at it with my bike. And so now whoever was tearing it up with their four-wheel drives, they aren't gonna be able to do that.
yeah.
You know, at that point anyway. Okay.
And we'll have, you know, after we look at this options, Chris has come up with the estimate. It wasn't on the agenda tonight, but it'll probably be on the next agenda. You know, hopefully some of the other stuff will come through, and even if we do an extension on that.
Yeah.
Until we can,
You are gonna try to get some of these funds that are gonna be available from the state?
Yes.
Okay.
yes, we are,
For that,
yes.
all right. Okay, thanks.
And thank you, Bruce, too. I actually had it, I was expecting, as we had talked too, that it would be on for this one. I was talking with the mayor this evening, it wasn't there yet, but I was also gonna ask the same question, so thank you for saving me the time.
Go ahead.
Bruce and I have a lot in common. But that is not why I'm up here today. I had, met with you
Uh-huh.
and you asked me to get in contact with Logan Sport, Indiana, in regards to their
Mhm.
trail cam system.
Mhm.
I did do that and I learned quite a bit. One of the funny things I learned is that, and I learned this from other areas of research, not from the people in Logan Sport. One of the funny things is that runners and bicyclists do not want trail cameras on the trails. They only want them at the heads of the trails and at parking. And the reason being is because they need privacy, because they have to go to the bathroom sometimes and they don't want to get caught on camera. So I thought that that was cute and I wanted to share that with you guys. The other thing that I did learn from the people in Logan Sport is that there is a website, if you guys want to write this down, it's called Patronicity, 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 and that is a crowdfunding that helps communities grow. That's their whole point. And so if people in the community have fundraisers, they will match that. And what happened in Logan Sport, or the way I understood it is, people that wanted to see the trail cams come forth started to have some fundraisers, but then they also had businesses in the community match. And so everything that they were able to raise, the businesses matched, so it doubled, and then Patronicity covered the rest.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't that Patronicity covered the rest, but Patronicity matched again.
Okay.
So in regards to the nature trail that we're talking about expanding, this would be a really good opportunity for us to look into this. And if we have, I'm not exactly sure how many miles are in a 5K or how that works, but having a few marathons is something that the Runners Flat is willing to support as long as we respect their privacy and promise not to put any trail cameras on the trails. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I would be happy to start some fundraising in regards to the trail system. I would be happy to do some of the legwork, make phone calls, that sort of thing, and do the extra steps on that, the research and whatnot. Kelly and I talked, we are both willing to put together some fundraisers. And since we have been in contact with the Runners Flat, if I was to proceed with this, I would also maybe contact Single Speed Brewery, and because they support the biking community a lot.
Right.
And Europa Cycle and Ski, Bike Tech, and some of those other places. And we could get some marathons going, or bike races, or like Trail of Trees they do in LaPorte City, Festival of Trails, that's it. So there's lots of options out there for us, and with the dog park coming into town, we could also incorporate the foster care groups, raise some money for them and match, we take half, they take half, kind of a thing, so that the foster dogs and the foster animals that aren't getting the appropriate care that they need at this point in time can get that. I know that they just took down another puppy mill not too long ago, so they're really needing that support too. And once you get all of these communities involved and the word gets out, that's gonna be the word of mouth and the marketing that's gonna bring people to our trails, more so than just having them.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else this evening? Mayor, council reports, I don't have anything tonight. How about you folks?
I guess I'll just make a comment on I think I said this at the last meeting, I'm happy to see the city garage out. It looks a lot more active, we're getting a lot of patching on streets done, so we got less craters in the road. So I've been very happy to seeing that, and they kind of give the commitment, we're gonna maintain that process going forward, so we don't have so much of that on the streets that we need to take care of also.
I got a deal on this on Evans Road, that with that, deal where you said, league said it was okay, the league don't have no authority to issue nothing. Legislation body of the state does, and if you have an accident, somebody had an accident out there and somebody was killed because they was doing over 25 mile an hour, they can sue the city. I think it should be, bring it back up and have 3 meetings on
But
it.
it was a quorum, it only takes a quorum, and we had a quorum
It
here.
takes a supermajority
It does not take a supermajority.
for an ordinance.
No, it does not take a supermajority for an ordinance.
Well, then you better read your own book you give me.
There are some ordinances that are supermajority, but that one isn't one of them.
Well, it just says to pass an ordinance on the first reading, you gotta have a supermajority, that's what it says.
Okay, I'll look into it. If I need to bring it back, I will.
Also, identification tags, did council get anything? Everything I said on this mayor and everything else, you buy said a name tag or a deal.
For,
Or if there's an emergency or something in the city and
well, I gave you the application, I never got it back.
you who the.
I gave you the application to fill it out, and
Somebody
you
else
haven't
got one?
returned it.
Steve said he didn't have one.
Yeah, I got a new one that's,
I
First
don't,
thing
I didn't, I don't see, know where the.
it's that little card, you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, if you have the application, it would have been in that packet that I gave you to complete.
Oh, I didn't see it in there, oh, no.
It is,
I'll look at it.
okay. Yep.
Looks just like, it's got a little.
I got 4 or 5.
So are you gonna be
Well, yours looks a little better.
shoveling sand into a bag if we have a flood?
Am I gonna be shoveling bag in?
Yeah, that's what it's for.
No, it's for any other emergency, a tornado, something comes through, or
Yeah,
there's a lot of things.
yep,
No, I've had one for from mayor and every council I've sat on, so.
yeah.
Can't you just reuse it?
He wants a first book. You should see the history this guy's got.
I'm just teasing.
Yeah, just find that form. If you don't have one, I'll send one over to you.
Ron, we'll bring that up for a vote at the next meeting.
If we wanted to do if we really wanted you to be in a disastrous situation or not, we might, exclude you out.
Who gets to take his
I'll just
picture?
sit in the car and point.
Who gets to take his picture? Choose the picture we use.
Ooh, do we have to use his picture?
See, we're talking about fundraising, right?
Right? Right.
When we start taking up a bidder.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.